Hello, hello. I see
Hey.
us and I hear us. So, yeah, we should be good to roll. So, good
Awesome.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on wherever you are joining us from. And welcome to CodeItLive. As you know, this is our channel where we talk about a lot of different things throughout the week. We do CMSs and podcasts on Monday. We do Unity and like a VR world on Tuesdays. Wednesdays are for React and UI. Thursdays are Xamarin and .NET. And today is Friday, which means we get to stretch our legs and hang out with our favorite people that we don't get to see as often nowadays. All right, so my name is Sam Basu. I am a dev advocate at Progress Software, and welcome to CodeItLive again. With me, I have my super good friend, Richard Taylor. So, Richard, how are you, sir?
Doing awesome. How are you, sir?
I'm hanging in there. Good to see you, and I see some of our friends already showing up in chat. Hello, Ivana. Good to see you.
All
and look at this troublemaker.
What's up, Kevin?
Yeah, so we're all friends here, and like we are all part of a fraternity of people who love going out to tech conferences, and we love to learn from each other, and we don't get to do this too often. This is what we are missing out. I think we're like the industry has kind of pivoted, and we are all learning to conduct business remote, but this is a part of it that we're really missing. So just sitting down with a friend over coffee or over a drink at a tech conference. So I'm glad we at least get to hang out for half an hour. So Richard, thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
And look at our friend Kevin. He's just really buttering you up. I don't know for what, but yeah, he really likes you.
I hear you. I appreciate it, Kevin.
Cool. All right, so Richard, who are you?
So I'm Richard Taylor. I live in Huntersville, North Carolina, which is right north of Charlotte, about 10 miles, and been in the industry for actually quite a while. So I'm not gonna reveal my age, but but I've seen a lot, done a lot, and yeah, really miss the dev community as you kind of let in there. We're used to kind of hanging out at conferences and swapping stories and talking about tech, and it's been a little rough for the last 8 or 9 months now.
Yeah, you bet. All right, so like where you live, like do you love it, hate it?
What's that?
Do you like where you live? Like, do you like everything about it?
Oh yeah, I love it. So we've been in North Carolina for about 25 years or so now. Right when my oldest was born, we moved here, and yeah, it's my wife and I got married in Atlanta. Atlanta's a big city. Charlotte's a lot smaller, but it has pretty much everything we'd like to do. So yeah, we love it.
That's good. Here's another one of our friends, Dan Siegel. Hey Dan.
Hey, what's up,
Dan? You. I was just talking to you yesterday on another stream. So yeah, good to see you. And talking of age, Kevin is saying we have seen things. It's funny because so next week, actually on this channel, we are planning next Thursday. It's going to be like an 8-hour stream because Silverlight is it's reaching its end of support next year in October. So we are doing like a full day stream on how to migrate out of Silverlight, and there are lots of plans. But like this, like it just shows you how old we are. We have seen things. We have like in our resume are probably like 10 things that are not around anymore.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So I have known you for years now, but tell us what you do. Where do you work and what do you do?
So actually, I work at Microsoft now. I joined Microsoft back in March.
Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I guess overall, career-wise, I've been in software engineering, mostly in the Microsoft stack, but I've done some other things with the mean stack and things like that for some other like special projects. But in general, if it's software engineering, I'm into it. I really don't care about the stack that much. It's like building software. That's the thing. So yeah. So at Microsoft, I work on a team that's basically responsible for maintaining and enhancing, extending the revenue recognition system for Microsoft. So every single sales transaction that Microsoft does across all of its different platforms and its partners actually flow through the system that we're responsible for. And I have a team of 10 developers of varying skill sets, but it mainly involves a lot of data engineering, a lot of software engineering, and actually systems engineering in Azure, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm focused on right now.
Sounds like right up your alley. And I mean, this is an interesting point that, I mean, a lot of like big software companies, like there is a lot of engineering that happens on internal tools.
Oh yeah,
that we don't recognize sometimes from outside.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost like so all the tools and gadgets that we play with in the dev community, when we see all the latest and greatest things, we actually, where I'm now, we actually get to apply those tools against like extremely large and difficult problems. And so the cool thing is that we're pushing the envelope on some of the platforms and tools, and actually working with the product groups to actually help make them better, which is pretty awesome. So we see what everybody else sees, but then also we see some other things that we can get ahead of in terms of like stabilizing and enhancing the products before customers get to it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, like we have also been fortunate enough to be in an industry and in a position as a company to continue our hiring throughout this pandemic. And it's interesting, like your onboarding experience when you're completely remote, right? So how's been your experience?
So it actually was pretty awesome. I came to Microsoft in March, actually March 23rd to be exact. 1 week after, actually not even a week, maybe a few days after we went to the whole mandatory stay-at-home stuff, and so I was kind of concerned, like, okay, well, how do I get started? How do I get connected? How do I figure things out and figure my way around? And actually, it was pretty awesome. We were able to do everything via Teams. Now, as a person that's very familiar with technology and comfortable with technology, it was very easy. A Teams meeting is hardly different than sitting in a room, right? So yeah, everything was by video. A lot of automation, and actually the unique part about it, which is when I look back at it, I'm even more impressed with the fact that I joined as a leader of a team, and 9 of the 10 folks on my team started virtually as well. Nice. So I've never worked in a room with my team. I actually haven't met them face to face. It's all been on Teams. So, but yeah, we were able to do it. I know other people struggle with it. We can't assume that working from home is easy for everybody. It's sort of natural for us in a way. But there are a lot of folks out there that are struggling. They don't have the ability to separate like work from home, and they're sitting at the kitchen table doing work, and it's tough, right? So
yeah, and even for like some of us like who've been remote for like, I've been remote for almost like a decade, but this is different. This is very different.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully once this like beloved year is behind us, you can get with your team and hang out. And
I'm so ready to punch the clock on 2020. It's not even ready to say.
Yes. So I know you have kids. Like, how would you describe what you do to your youngest?
Okay, so I actually have a couple ways of describing it. So one way is basically we make it easy for Microsoft, the broader org, to understand where the money, the income comes from, right? That's one way to describe it. Now, a 4-year-old may not understand it, but but most people would. For a 4-year-old, I would probably describe it as we label money. That's what we do. We just put a label on the money. This is where it came from.
That's good.
So
Now, speaking of staying stuck at home, our friend Dan, and I know exactly what he's talking about because like
yeah,
all three of us were actually there. So we
yep,
host a big conference called Devreach in Eastern Europe. Happens every year in
yep.
Sofia, Bulgaria. And I had Dan and then you join us, and
Mhm.
it was a great experience. But yeah, we are all kind of going a little crazy. We want to hang out, and
Oh
as
yeah,
much as like technology helps us do our jobs, like you can't take away the personal connections entirely. So
right,
yeah, it's been
right,
interesting. Cool.
absolutely.
Now, I mean, you are here obviously at a very good place in your career, but where did all this start? How did it start?
Very simply, my mother, when I was 14 years old, bought me a Commodore 64,
There you
and
go.
at the time, I was a teenager and didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a job or anything like that. So, in order for me to get games, I actually built my own. So,
There you go.
yeah, exactly. So I built
That's how
some
like
games.
so many of us got started.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
want to make things move.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I wrote some basic games because basic was inherent to the Commodore 64, and then I read an article from one of the. You remember when we had magazines, right? Where there
Mhm.
was code in the magazines and all that sort of stuff.
That's
And
right.
we sit there, we type, type everything in before
Yep.
we had storage. And uh, I saw an article for an assembly cartridge, and so I asked for that. I think it was either birthday or Christmas, and mom picked that up, and so then I started writing assembly code, which was interesting, but it allowed me to understand how the computer worked. It was closer to the metal, obviously,
Hmm.
and it just went from there. I saved up, allowance to buy storage, so I got a cassette drive, and then a floppy drive, and then I added a modem. Then I swapped it out for an Amiga, and then I eventually got to a PC, and
There you
it
go.
just kept going.
Nice,
So
nice.
that's how it started.
Cool. No, I mean, you are also somebody who's heavily invested in the tech community, in our software developer community, and that's how I have known you for years. And you've been a Microsoft MVP for like several years before you joined.
Yeah, I was MVP for 3 years,
Okay.
and yeah, that's a wonderful program, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But when you join Microsoft, you can't receive that reward anymore.
Yep.
So
So I have a bit of a story here. So
yeah.
as we kind of grow in our careers, like especially when we are going out in the community,
Uh-huh.
we read a lot, we speak a lot. Maybe we start writing. Maybe we go speak at tech conferences, and people start knowing your name. People
Hmm.
start to know who you are, and you start seeing friends in the community. And maybe like you're organizing like user groups or like meetups or conferences, and then at some point everybody kind of assumes that you are an MVP, right? And that's kind of what I think happened in your case. I remember this gentleman, Joe Darko. He used to be
Yeah,
a community tech lead at Microsoft, and he reached out to me. Probably this is like 5 years back, and he reached out to me to say, "Hey, this guy in the Carolinas, I think he's doing great. Can you just talk to him and see how we can bring him on?" So I remember having just called you out of the blue, and we were just chatting, and then I hang up and I'm like, damn, this guy is doing much more than I am doing. How is he not an MVP? And so here you were. So yeah, we are super happy to have you in the community, and we appreciate all that you do.
yeah. Thank
So
you. I
what's the
enjoy.
most like exciting part of what you do now?
Uh, I would say, and this actually is not really confined to what I do right now. It's kind of been throughout my career. I get excited about people actually just using the software that either my team or myself have created, and actually see it in action and delivering value. That's the huge motivator for me, and it probably will always be. And so yeah, so like in today's world, it's we're either extending the system or updating code or adding a new feature, and actually that being realized by end users is the huge motivator.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Dan has noticed that you have strategically placed your MVP award behind you.
It's always been there. I didn't stage it.
Not just for this call, it's always there.
Yeah, it's always there.
Cool. Now, I mean, not just like for your current position, but like what are some of the challenges that you see like in the last few years as you've been out as a developer in the community? What are some challenges?
So I know for me, and actually what I see when I'm working with developers is the balance of the risk reward. So, when we were like building solutions and getting them delivered to our customers, it's a, the technologist in you wants to just use like the latest and the greatest and just get out there and here's a shiny new, ball that we have and we can deliver. But then there's that other side, right? When you're not sort of in just a pure research type of scenario. You're really actually trying to solve business problems, and you kind of have to balance, the two, and that's always been a challenge, particularly for technologists. And I actually see it all the time. But like I give an example. Even recently with one of our I might say younger, but I guess less experienced developers on the team. It's like they want to do all this great stuff and they want to use this tool and that tool and you have to like teach them. It's like, hey, okay, well that's great, but let's say focus on what the problem is and delivering a good balance. So that's always a challenge. Always.
Yeah, you have to deliver value.
Absolutely. That's the mission, right?
Exactly. So like the right tools for the right job. And I have to ask you this, like, because like a lot of us like wear different hats, but I have always known you to be driving an engineering team, like you're building products. So what's that experience like? Like, what's your take on the cadence of what type of software you're releasing and how things work? How frequently do you release? And what's your experience like?
Sure. So at its highest level, when I look at like engineering solutions and building products, it's a combination of several different perspectives, right? You have the end user perspective, right? The person that has the problem, and they need a solution. So you have that perspective. Then you have the software engineer or developer that they actually they create the solution, they utilize the technology and so forth and so on. And then you have what I like to describe is the business or the project management, for the lack of a better term. That perspective is more around making sure that there's focus, right? Because as a technologist, you have all these different things you can pull from, but you have to remember, what the problem is, and of course, a user wants the focus there, but then there's all these other things in terms of like risk and cost and so forth and so on. And so all the stuff has to kind of come together. But when we look at perspectives, those three I think are the main three. In terms of like releasing software and scheduling and things like that, I'm a huge fan of automation. So ensuring that we have proper CI/CD systems in place. If it's like a web-based type of solution, I'm a huge fan of releasing as quickly as possible, right? So you can have multiple releases in a day. I mean that you want to get the value to the customer as quickly as possible. You're losing money, you're creating risk when you have all these features sitting on a shelf and for whatever reason you haven't released it, and so you have to put in place anything and everything that you can so that process is automated as possible with proper testing and so forth and so on, and just get the value out the door, and then just make adjustments as needed. The days of releasing once a month or releasing once a quarter, by that time the problem's already patched, right? We're on to the next thing, and so
Yeah,
That's what it takes.
it's been fun to watch, like how in the last like few years, DevOps has kind of become like a part of the dev cycle. Like we just need to know, and like folks like Dan Siegel, like our good friend Lance McCarthy, like they're experts at like mobile DevOps, and this is so important. You got to ship. You got to ship fast. You got to fail fast and adjust. I was talking to Santosh Hari the other day, and he did a talk on like feature flags. Like push it out, and you can turn things on and off as you go along. So,
absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about a few more pieces of technology, and then I'll move on to some things I really want to ask you, like just to hang out with you. What's something that really excites you now in terms of technology? Something that you used or seen?
So a couple weeks back, I was on vacation, and vacation for me is typically at some point playing around with technology. That's just what it is. Trying to catch up, right? And so I spent a good week on Blazor, and I'm kind of late to the game, to be honest with you. Being MVP, you see some of that stuff early, you get to play with it, and I just haven't had enough time to devote to it. So I decided, okay, let me play around with this and see what it's all about. And I've done full stack development for a while, particularly on the web platform. So I've done some of the front end frameworks like Angular and used Web API for my back end, or Node, or depending on the environment. And long story short, when you're in that environment, you're kind of moving through different technology, right? You've got front end work that's can be a separate language. You've got your back end work, and then if there's a data store, you're dealing with that. And so Blazor kind of gives you that. Okay, I can do everything in C#, and I don't necessarily have to be overly concerned. I'm not gonna say not concerned, but I don't have to be overly concerned about what happens on the front end. And then there's different options in terms of using WebAssembly versus server based and all that sort of stuff. But it was pretty cool. I mean, I seen it before. I seen it before it was released. I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I did invest some time to really get to understand. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I could do some stuff with it. So that's one. And then I'm kind of excited. It's not released yet, but I'm kind of excited about the Surface Duo. That gadget seems pretty interesting. So I want to play around with it when it's released.
So my thoughts, like Blazor, I think is super exciting because, like you said, it's like C# front and back, and to me, like it's not just for the web, because it has interesting implications for desktop and mobile as well. So we shall see. Early days. And the Surface Duo, I don't know if you saw some of the tweets, like some of the Microsoft folks are carrying it around. Somebody went on a hike with the Surface Duo. It's kind of maybe living on the edge, but it's coming. And we'll see. Like the whole dual screen thing, I don't think it's been explored enough. Like there are some interesting like UX challenges and opportunities. So we'll see. Cool. Now, speaking of Surface Duo and gadgets, what is your favorite tech gadget right now?
My cell phone. I have a Note. Actually, I have an older one, a Note 8, but it's got everything on it, man. I don't. If I lost it, I don't know. Like a lot of folks, I don't know what I do. It's like my wife and I were joking the other day. It's like, you ever thought about how many people who don't know like their spouse's phone number or their kid's phone number, because they put it in the phone and it's like, forget it. And if they ever lost it, it's like
Right. Very true. Yeah, we can't live without our phones. And like, hopefully, if you lose it, things are backed up in the cloud. You can replace it, but you can't live without your phones. Yeah, and Dan is making a good point about Blazor. Like some of these things are very new. I mean, Blazor just hit production-ready WebAssembly like this May at Build. So there are things to be proven out, like the security model, the compression, everything has to be proven out. And I think these things will just churn and become better over time. That's just the nature of how things evolve. Cool. So let's talk about the other fun stuff that makes you. Okay, now, before I get to your social life, I have to make I have to talk about this because we
Okay.
have a single kid who's 4.5, and he drives us batshit crazy at times. He's the cutest in the world, as every parent would say. But you, sir, have 5 kids, and
I have 5.
do not know what you're drinking or eating. How do you keep it going?
Okay, so I have to qualify that at this point in my life because my 2 oldest are adults, right? Okay. So they're both out of college, and so obviously they're self-contained. They take care of themselves. But I have 3 boys, younger boys, 15, 12, and 10, and they're sort of self-contained too. I mean, we have a joke about them. We call them 3 amigos because they hang out with each other. They're in video games, and of course they've been loving all of this stuff because it really, their plan for the summer was really to just game. I mean, that's their thing, and we I do have like restrictions on internet time and things like that. But if that's what they want to do and that's how they want to, spend their time, then we let them do it, particularly in the summertime. So they're pretty self-contained. But when they were younger, and everybody was coming up, obviously I had 2 older kids and the 3 younger. And so the 2 older kids were actually very, very good in helping. And I will give, 120% of the credit to my wife. She does an awesome job with kids, and her primary, job and role, and she doesn't get paid enough for it, is to handle the house. And that's an agreement that we made when we got married, and she wanted to raise the kids. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And here's what this means. That means I've got to focus on career because obviously I have to try to maximize as much as I possibly can be in a 1-income house. And so she deserves most of all of the credit in terms of that. And so I've been able to focus, and that's how we balance, right? I don't know what it would be like if we were in this period of time and they were young, because I can imagine the challenge.
Yeah. Under 5, it's challenging. I mean, there are loads of fun, but they just need a lot of like hand holding. Like even for games or other things, like he wants to play with me. And RPE3 is saying about the same thing that we have been saying. Yeah,
that's my oldest.
Oh, okay. There you go. And for the record, we actually know Richard's wife very well. She comes and hangs out with us at conferences, and she's amazing.
Yep, she is my road buddy.
There you go. Cool. So outside of all of this you do, like what does your social life look like? How do you balance work and life?
Really, I don't try to go at it from a balancing act. I just try to do what I feel like doing. I don't really stress over it that much. So, if I want to spend the day doing nothing, and it's obviously not a work day, then I might just, catch up on streaming or something, or maybe read. But then, there's some weekends and some time, outside of work where I might intentionally study and learn something, or hang out with the kids, watch a movie, or something like that. So it really, I think do what's natural. That's how I approach it, right? And in that way, it's not like it doesn't feel forced, and then you do what your body and mind requires,
there
basically.
Yeah, and I'm appreciating that one of your kids is in the chat room. And this has got to be like a whole other way of like maybe even growing up together, like with the kids. Like you get to interact with them on their platforms and social platforms and gaming platforms. It's fun. I'm looking forward to it. I used to be a bigger gamer, and then life got in the way. But now I'm getting back into things because the kid is learning his stuff. So
I can't hang, to be honest with you. Games I grew up with are completely different than what the kids are playing today. And I've tried a few times, and I mean, they really kick my butt.
I haven't crossed that yet, but I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, as you can probably tell, Richard and me love life and we love food. So, what's your favorite food?
I would say hands down wings. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
There you go. I see some of the things you post, like when you've just made like wings at home.
That's yeah. Cool. Fire up the air fryer and get some wings and now actually I grill them now.
Yeah, that's good.
I put them on the grill and then toss them in whatever sauce. So yeah, that's our thing. We do that at least once a week.
Yeah, a little healthier, but I mean, you're not lacking on flavor in any way. So what's to lose? And do you cook much?
I don't. I tend to, like, if my wife and I combo, I will like cook the meat, like I'll grill the meat and she'll do all the difficult things because grilling meat's not that hard. But that's actually one positive thing that my wife and I were talking about this a few weeks back was that we were spending more time like together, like in the kitchen, like we'll double team on dinner and things like that. Yeah. Where before, man, I would come home from the office like I'm done.
And you're always like coming back from somewhere, or you have some place to go, and like weeks are hard. We have slowed down, and I mean we started the whole pandemic thing with a lot of vigor to cook a lot of good things, and we have. We're kind of slowly kind of reaching the end of our tether as well. But it's fun. Like when you take the time to cook, be with your family, it's always fun.
Sure.
Cool. All right, sir. If you had $1 million right now, what would you do?
$1 million. Actually pretty simple. I would take a portion of it, probably no more than a third of it, and secure my my younger son's education. Just make sure that was squared away. And then this time I would take the remainder of it and I would give it away to folks that need food. Just what this situation has done is really put some people either on the edge or over the edge, and it's a time to just help others. That's just the way it is right now, and we're all in this boat together. I'm fortunate, you're fortunate. A lot of the folks that we associate with are fortunate. We're in the tech scene where we can work from anywhere. We've done it for years, and but there are folks out there who really are getting hit hard by this pandemic and the situations that evolve from it. So I would give it away.
That's generous of you, and that is so true. Like I got a haircut after a long time, and I mean, if you can, I mean, yes, I mean everybody has their circumstances, but if you can, like we should try to help out local businesses, tip well, because like you said, a lot of folks in the community are hurting. So anything we can do to help really does help. So cool. Yeah. All right, so Richard, once this beautiful year is behind us, like what are you looking forward to in the upcoming times in terms of technology, in terms of life? Like what gets you excited?
I mean, honestly, I really want to get to a conference. I mean, I because it's not the sessions. It's just connecting with people, right? And
sitting down with somebody,
and just having a conversation and asking them about what's your opinion on this or that, that tech, and how would you use this? I mean, those are the conversations, and to me, that's the value you get out of attending these things, and it's just very difficult. So that's going to be my first thing. It's like as soon as we get a vaccine or all clear, do your thing. It's like, okay, where am I going?
I'm sure all of us are
yeah, exactly.
One tech question before I let you go here. Like I have known you doing a lot of mobile stuff, and I mean clearly you do Azure for your job now. Are you going to keep on doing mobile stuff?
I mean, so the mobile stuff, specifically Xamarin, is a passion of mine. Unfortunately, with this a role change and company change, I have been buried, to be honest with you. It's trying to get up to speed on this massive system. I mean, so I have 10 people on my team, but there are like over 100 developers working on this system. and that's how large it is. And so there hasn't been a lot of spare time per se, and so I want to get back to that, and get out and speak more about that. But now I have this new area of knowledge that I'd like to spend more time on, and that's the Azure side. And what I've learned up until this point, and what I still have to learn, and so I want to get back out there and probably focus on those two things.
Yeah, absolutely. This is natural. Like if we feel passionate towards the thing we work on, like it's easy to share that passion. And sometimes like a job change kind of forces us into diving into things that we have not considered or don't have a lot of expertise into, and that's exposure that you can share with the rest of the Lyft community. Okay. Yeah. So Richard, like I said before, I've known you for years, and you are absolutely awesome. You are passionate. And, you love what you do clearly, and you love sharing it out. So we appreciate everything you bring.
Thanks, Ray.
I appreciate you as a friend. So hopefully, once this is all over, we can raise a glass together. And,
absolutely.
Fly forward.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you so much, Richard. And
I appreciate it.
Folks in the chat room, I appreciate each and one of you, Kevin, Dan, and your kids, and everybody else who's tuned in. We appreciate you. So stay safe, stay productive, and we'll see you next week with our scheduled scripts. Okay. All right. That's it from us then, and have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Enjoy the weekend, folks. Have a good one.